So let's go ahead and start right away on our backs. So always a nice way to start a practice is to just lie down. And we just take a moment as we lie down to let yourself arrive. It always seems like a funny thing when I say that, but it feels really, really important. And where I realize how much I hold myself up. And when we allow ourselves to arrive, we can release some of that extra energy and tension that we do to keep ourselves lifted or kind of almost away from gravity. So right now, just let gravity draw you down as if it were, and it is, a magnetic force. It just invites you, your bones, to hang on earth. And earth then rises up to meet you. And it's just a great feeling to let yourself settle into that support system that's underneath you. From here, we take the hands and we just kind of snow angel them up until it feels like enough. Like you don't have to have your arms straight overhead. You can have them in a V. Just slowly take them up. That'll be our inhale. And let's make our legs active. So our second toes point to the sky. And as you exhale, snow angel your arms back down and start to notice where they naturally turn in. So there's kind of a natural, as you snow angel up, there's a place, you don't have to have a lot of effort, where they flip open. And then as you exhale, you bring them and they flip down so your palms are face down. And just a couple more like that, letting them very naturally rotate in their sockets. And it also just gives you a chance to feel how the arms work. And I often notice how different my arms are left and right. I've got one arm that just beautifully glides, and the other one where the shoulder blade kind of gets pokey into the ground. So it's also an opportunity to kind of feel how your body shapes itself. Inhaling as you rise, exhaling as you come down. Couple more. Just enjoying that breath practice and that very simple movement of the shoulders. Very safe because you're supported. Anytime you're supported, it's just safer. We're going to finish with our arms up overhead or in your V, whichever. And then you're going to walk 1 foot at a time up till you're standing on your feet and your knees are up into the sky. And from here, I just want you to notice your cat-cow movement. So with your arms overhead, you'll not get quite as much, but I want you to arch the spine by pressing the hips down into the floor and gently retracting them. And then exhaling, you're going to press the low back into the floor and literally scoop your hips up off. So there's like a deep curl, as deep as you can curl, in your tailbone, pointing towards the backs of your knees. And then release that down, press the hips down and contract them towards your shoulders. Shoulders can contract towards your hips. And then as you exhale, you press the belly back down and you scoop. You can actually move into a little bit of a weight-bearing position so the hips come off the floor. And then you release them down. A couple more, inhaling on the arch. And exhaling on the curl. Even pressing that belly down. Inhaling on the arch. And exhaling on the curl. Beautiful. Now just reach and grab your opposite elbow. And here I like to just lift my head and make sure my chin is dropped in a little bit and the back of the neck is long. And now we're going to inhale to that cow tilt shape. And then as you exhale, as you start to curl, you're going to take your hips over to the right a little bit. And you move into cat tilt. So you're lifting your hips up and you're scooping them over to the left. And then place them down. And there's a little cow tilt there. It's a little asymmetrical cow tilt. And as you exhale, you scoop back to the left. and come on over to the right. Really using those abdominals, release the hips down. Inhale to a little asymmetrical cow. And as you exhale, scoop and curl. Use those abdominals and pull the hips all the way over to the left. Release them down. Inhale to cow. Exhale to scooping cat. Inhale to asymmetrical cow. Exhale to scooping cat. We've got one more just to make ourselves even on both sides. Exhaling. This time finish in the middle. And then using your cat tilt, see if you can start at like the bra line. And see if you can just slow down and bring the vertebra right below that down on the floor. And then pause and see if you can do the next vertebra. It takes a lot of core work. And then pause and do the next vertebra. And then the next, notice where it gets harder. You have to use a little more core there. And the next, keep going until you can articulate each one. Use your exhale especially. A couple more. Almost there. You should be feeling that in the abdominals by now. Release. Take a cleansing breath. As you exhale, release your arms, reach for your left knee, and hug it. And I'm thinking if your body's like my body, you feel the cat tilt right now. And just take a breath there, let that happen, release into it. And then take your right leg straight so it's on the floor, and then start to move into a little bit of a cow tilt. So I don't really want you to go into a cow tilt. I want you to go to neutral spine, but I want you to feel that cow tilt-like action. And then keep it, but make a cat belly. So it's like you're pulling the low belly in and up. One more breath. And then you're going to keep that, release your hands, take them out to the side like a T, and now see if you can stay stable in your standing leg side and just circle your left knee around like you've got a marker on it and you're drawing a circle above you. But don't sacrifice your stability here. Like really get stable on that right side so there's no rocking. And it's just a very simple hip circle. You don't want to grate it or grind it. It's just a very simple, so you take it as little as or as big as you need. And then come back to center and take a half happy baby. So we'll bend the right leg again, just to make it a little easier. And you're gonna bend the left knee until it comes out to the side of your ribs, almost towards your armpit. And you just breathe there for a couple breaths. One more breath. And gently release. You're going to take that ankle over your other knee, so it's figure 4, and you'll just inhale to cow. So there's that arcing of the spine, and then you find neutral. So you draw in the lower belly. And if you take your left hand to your left knee, and if you push it away from you, you'll notice that the right hip rises and maybe it even shortens. It comes closer to your face. So that I don't want, but I just wanted you to feel that so you can feel the difference. Now release it a little bit and see if you can find center again. So there's a little bit of a tension to the midline. Now keep that and gently press that left knee away. And just notice it takes a little bit of core action here. Last breath. And then release the action and glide that leg all the way over the other leg. So now you're sitting like we're supposed to sit, ladylike. All right, take your hands back out in T. Press that right foot into the floor. Scoot your hips to the left and place them down. Drop your knees to the right. Now, you don't have to go very far. because it's the beginning of our practice. But what I want you to feel, and this was what I was speaking about earlier, I want you to squeeze the inner thighs together. So you really start to activate that inner charge of the spine. It's like that deep inner support. And you can imagine that your feet are like a little bit like suction cups, and they're pulling the energy up to those inner thighs and squeezing. And notice if just that action allows you to just twist just a little bit more. So use the squeezing as the goal rather than the twist. And then see if you can just release your left shoulder. It's always amazing to me when I realize how much tension I'm holding somewhere else, and it's good to release it. So one more suction cup action up the legs to the inner thigh squeeze. Literally imagine there's a ball between your legs that you're trying to squeeze juice out of. One more breath. And exhale, release. Come back to center, unravel the left leg off the top of the right, and then just even yourself out. So that squeeze is the important action that we do in many poses, most poses, even lunges. So let's try second side. So inhale here. Exhale, bring your right knee into the chest and hug it. Just gentle hug, and notice, let yourself go into cat tilt a little bit. It's not exaggerated, but it's happening for sure. And take a couple breaths there. Notice any sensation that you feel. Deepen your breath and start to take your left leg out long. So it's on the floor, and then see if you can start to move into cow tilt. And then match that with abdominal cat. Take your arms out into your T and start to circle that left knee around. But I really want you to feel stable here. So I don't want rocking. I want you to still feel like the left side of the body is grounded. And you're getting all the benefits of movement and inversion in this pose, because there's something higher than your heart. So you can think of this also as multitasking, but just a really great opportunity to feel that strong action towards the midline. Beautiful. Hug that knee again, bend the left leg again, and take that right leg into half happy baby. So you're just bringing that knee towards the outer rib, towards the right armpit, and just breathing. Breathing into anything that's tight. Beautiful. And you're going to release that a little bit, but you're going to bring the other leg up into full happy baby. So you can grab both outer feet, or you can grab your knees, whatever works for you. And then just notice that if you're like me, which you may or may not be, you went into cat tilt. Can you take and find a little bit more cow tilt? And I usually put my elbows on the insides of my knees here and press my knees into my elbows isometrically. That helps. And then match that cow tilt with abdominal support. One more breath. Beautiful. And then go ahead, holding onto the ankles, just give yourself a little foot massage. You just rub your feet on your feet. And then keep the soles of the feet together and very gently drop the outer edges of the pinky toe sides of the feet together. We'll just take a couple breaths in Supta Baddha Konasana. Here, if my hips are sore or tight or inflamed, I'll lift my thighs up a little bit with my hands. So I don't just sit here and let gravity just overpull. And I find that little bit of neutral spine. It's got cow with the support of a cat. One more breath. And those of us who love kitties feel like, oh yeah, cats are supportive in their own weird way. And then very gently bring your knees together. oops, I think we forgot something. We're gonna take our right ankle over the left knee. Do you notice how I included you in on that, that we forgot something? And take your right hand and press that right knee forward, just so you can feel what it feels like when the left hip pops up and towards you a little bit. Good. And now come back to center, find your neutral spine, and then gently press the right knee. So there has to be a little action around the spine to bring you back into neutral symmetry. One more breath here. Just guiding your breath and your abdominals to support the spine. Good. Release that. Let the right leg glide down so that the knees are touching. And then you press down into that standing foot, swing your hips to the right and place them back down, and then drop your knees to the left. And again, you don't have to go very far. Just go as far as feels comfortable for now, but imagine that suction cup action of your feet and pull that right up to your inner thighs. And usually when I do that, I'm like, oh yeah, I wasn't doing anything before. So it's just a good reminder that we want to have that strong action around the spine to feel supportive, and also support it for its length, so that we always get this slight tractioning effect in our practice. And then release the right shoulder. Let go of any tension you're holding on to, maybe even in your jaw or your eyes. And then imagine there's a little physio ball, a little small ball in between your inner thighs, and see if you can squeeze some juice out of that ball. One more breath. Waking up those inner thighs often gives relief to other structures in the body that are working too hard or slightly out of alignment. Beautiful. Exhale, little abdominal support as we bring the hips back. We unravel those legs, even ourselves out, and then take a little cow, inhaling, and back to our cat where we scoop the hips up off the floor. Inhale, cow, and exhale, scoop. Beautiful. Just bring your knees into the chest one more time. And this time, and it doesn't have to be very much, but you're just going to rock a little bit on your spine. It's like you're almost trying to kick your legs behind you to get the hips off of the floor. And it really is good for activating the lower abdominals. If it starts to feel good to you, you can take it into a little more of a rock and roll. But if it doesn't, don't. It doesn't matter. And if you're able to rock and roll all the way till your toes are touching, come all the way up. Otherwise, roll to your side and find your way up. And then you're just going to bring your legs and cross them. So your right ankle's over your left, and you're just going to hug your legs together. And as you do, can you extend the spine? Think about your cow tilt, and think about your cat support. One more breath. Finding that length in the spine, so good for us. And then if it works, you grab your ankles, kind of pull them underneath you, and you rock forward onto hands and knees. In our hands and knees, we're going to take our fingertips to point back behind us so we can get a nice little stretch for the wrists. I want you to tuck your toes as well, and I want you to take your hands, so I'm talking each finger, thumb, pointer, middle, ring, and pinky, and squeeze a grapefruit. Get the juice out of it. Like really squeeze that hand. That'll wake it up and make it stronger, which in the long run will help your wrists. Pull the abdominals and the ribs away from the floor. Soften the space of the neck. Let it melt forward. Beautiful. And then very gently start to roll back, peeling wrists. You're going to come all the way onto your tucked toes as you sparkle your fingers, squeezing and opening the fingers. From here, we go right into tabletop. So fingertips onto, or hands onto the floor. Take your left knee slightly forward, the right leg back. My toes are tucked under, my right leg is straight, and I'm going to push with that leg so that I just glide forward maybe an inch, and then I'm going to try to retuck those toes a little closer. So I have a really nice, dense right leg there. I'm hugging the muscles to the bones. I'm pulling the abdominals in, the ribs in, and then I'm going to take my left arm forward. So now I'm in like half bird dog, and then I'm going to use those strong leg muscles, and I'm going to engage those and just lift up that right leg to the sky. As I push down through left knee and right hand, I pull up the abdominals. Good. Last breath. You're going to place the left hand on the floor and bend the right knee, and you just do little pulses. So as that foot pulses to the sky, it's flat to the sky, you imagine that you could bring your abdominals with it. And you're going to get a little butt action here, a little glute action, a little hamstring. Beautiful. And then release that on towards the other knee, even it out, and sit on back and sweep your arms up overhead, inhaling. Remember that first snow angel movement we did where you feel the very natural rotation of the shoulders? So you're going to press your hands outwardly and roll them back behind you down towards the floor. Here we go, second side. So, coming into tabletop. You're standing mostly on your right knee. Extend your left leg behind you. Toes are tucked. And you're just gently going to push. And as you push about an inch forward, retuck that foot. So you can really feel the density of that left leg. Keep that. Pull abdominals away from the floor and extend your right arm. Keep growing the density in your left leg. When you really feel that leg strong, lift the whole thing off the floor. And breathe. Lift the abdominals away from the floor. One more breath. Good core work. Release your right hand down, bend your left knee, pulse it to the sky. It's almost like you're carrying a weight tray on your left foot. And you're just pulsing and waking up the glutes. And as you do, can you match that with a little core action? And you just work that. Beautiful. Then bring that knee to match the other knee. We sit on back and sweep it up, that really natural rotation, arms overhead, and then they come back down, pressing away from you. Whew. Beautiful. Rock forward to hands and knees. Tuck the toes under. You can move the knees back a little bit. Inhale, cow tilt. Exhale, downward facing dog. And you can be wide here so that you don't strain yourself at the very beginning or towards the beginning of your practice. But I want you to imagine that you're a gecko and that you're hanging upside down on this yoga mat. And so you've got to grab it with fingers and feet. Really suction cup yourself to that mat and let everything else pull up into, or we could say down towards the imaginary floor, but here for us up towards the sky. Beautiful. And then inhale, tippy toes. Exhale to a squat dog. That means the knees bend and we just roll the hips back and we move right into dog. So we go inhale, tippy toes. Look forward. Exhale, squat dog. Inhale, tippy toes. Exhale, downward facing dog. Two more like that. Just kind of a rolling through the spine. Squat dog as we look forward and then roll ourselves back into downward facing dog. Last one, inhale. Exhale, squat dog, looking forward, push ourselves back up to tippy toes and back to downward facing dog. Walk yourself forward to the front of the mat. Uttanasana, take your time. Feel the movement in your legs and hips as you come into standing forward fold. And if you need blocks here, be my guest. It's not a sign of weakness to seek support. It's a sign of strength and courage. So we suction cup feet and hands as if we wanted to grab that floor and feel everything growing away from the floor. One more breath. And then from here, bend the knees and drop the tailbone. You're going to roll up to standing. Your head is going to the last thing to drop, the last thing to rise. So drop tail like it's got an 80-pound anchor on it, and then roll up through each vertebra. When you get up to the top, you're going to bend your knees and you're going to go the other way. So the booty sticks out and it's like cow tilt until you roll all the way back down into Uttanasana. And then the knees bend again and we inhale, roll up. And we exhale, arc down. Just working the spine. Inhale to roll up. And exhaling to arc it on down. Here's the last one. We inhale, pull it up to roll up. This time, we just let the arms float overhead as we come up. Grab your right wrist with your left hand and bow to the side. See if you can soften your knees and suction cup your feet and bring that energy up the body as you shrug your right shoulder to stretch your right waistline. One more breath. Can you soften behind the neck? Inhale, press down to come up. Exhale, release your hands. Inhale, fly them. Exhale to the other side. You're going to pause when you get to your first stretch and just soften your knees and bring the energy as you could suck it up from the earth up into your body. One more breath. Shrug the left shoulder. Feel that stretch in the lats. And then inhale to come all the way up the front of the mat. Exhale, dive forward. Uttanasana, standing forward fold. From here we'll go into our lunge sequence. So inhale, pressing up to Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bend your knees. Take your right leg back to a bent knee lunge. You're going to walk your left hand onto your left knee, and you'll push down. The knee kind of isometrically pushes back. The left hand tractions forward towards your toes, and you feel the left side of the belly pick up. So I'm going to say that again because I really want you to feel that. So remember that thigh squeeze. There's a little ball there that you want to squeeze juice out of. And then you press that hand down and forward, and you'll notice the left side of the belly picking up. And what's nice about that is that's the psoas drawing on close to the spine, which is really helpful. Now, lift up that left arm and just go stretch, and then take it up overhead and do a little side or diagonal side bend. So you're going over to the right. One more breath. And then release that. Bring the hands to frame that front foot. Take your time to rock it forward and back to Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Exhale, breathing out. There's that suction-like energy that pulls the earth up into body, super grounding. Exhale, bend your knees. Take your left leg back to a bent knee lunge. You're going to walk your right hand up onto your right thigh, and you'll find that little ball squeeze. Beautiful. Then the right hand pushes down on the knee. The knee responds with some action, and the fingertips traction forward. You might notice the right side of the belly, just kind of pulling in and up and away from the thigh. One more breath. From here, sweep that right arm up overhead. Take it into a diagonal stretch. Beautiful. And then come on, bring that hand down to frame your front foot. Step it on back so that your knees are on the floor. Take a breath here. And then we walk down onto our forearms, and let's take forearm plank. So you press into those strong legs on your forearms, and then forearm plank twist. You step onto your outer right foot. The left foot stacks on top. And then you look down at the floor, square your shoulders, but try not to let the head hang like a big bowling ball. Imagine that your crown was extending like your fingers. And then second side, we come back to plank. We step out onto the outer left foot. Stack the right foot on top. Even out the shoulders, square them off. Extend through the fingers and the crown. You should feel a nice little twist. One more breath. Then release to plank. Drop your hips to the floor. Take a Sphinx breath. Inhaling as the toes extend and the fingers extend in opposite directions. See if you can start to grow the strength of the legs, that dense action that we did before. And as the legs stay strong and active, you try to melt the heart forward. Your forearms can press down and isometrically pull back to pull the ribs forward too. One more breath. From here, we're going to make those legs super strong, all the way up into the buttocks. Really squeeze. Imagine there's that little ball still there. Try to keep just that height and sneak the arms back. Maybe not quite that tall, but we're trying. We're squeezing that little ball, and we're lifting the legs. 2 more breaths. Squeeze the ball. Lift up. Beautiful. Release hands by your side. Legs drop. Head rises. Tabletop. Child's pose. Big toes not touching, knees apart. If this is hard on your hips, try bringing knees narrower. See if that helps. Otherwise, if it feels okay, just breathe into it. Feel the lengthening of the spine. You can use your hands on the floor and isometrically and gently pull them towards you. And that will help the spine to extend. One more breath. Beautiful. You're going to come up to hands and knees. You're going to take your left knee into the center of the mat and the right leg behind. So now you look like a triangle. So your knees are the apex and your feet are wide. And then from there, the hands come forward and you just very gently start to bring the hips straight back. So straight's important because it's going to be easier for one hip to go faster than the other. So see if both hips can go back. And if it feels hurtful, you squeeze those inner thighs a little bit more. There's that little ball in there you want to squeeze juice out of. And you just go gently, as far as you can gently go. One more breath. Squeezing action's important. And inhale and come on up. Find your tabletop. Take a cleansing breath. And then take your right knee to the center of the mat and tuck your left knee in behind. Look on down. You've got a perfect triangle there. Take the hips straight back. Take your time. Begin to squeeze that little ball. Get some juice out of it. Walk your hands forward if that works for you, but keep that squeezing action. The abdominals are trying to lift off of the top thigh. One more breath. And inhale. Come on up. Square your legs. Sit on back. Vajrasana. Hands in the lap. Take a cleansing breath. Okay, this next one, I want you to be in a comfortable sitting position. So if Vajrasana is not comfortable, you have some choices. You could bring a block and sit on it so that you're not sitting right on your heels, or you could sit cross-legged, or you could have your legs out in front of you. I just want you to be fairly comfortable because we'll be here for a couple minutes. And we're going to do the Ganesh Mudra. So you're going to have your right hand facing your heart and your left hand facing away from your heart. And then you're going to grab your opposite fingers. So you're making like a little, I don't know, it feels like a little power symbol there. So Ganesha is the god of obstacles in the yoga tradition. So when we want to remove obstacles, this is the mudra. This is the mudra of Ganesha. And so you start to pull your hands apart as you inhale and use a fair amount of power. And as you exhale, release the grip. And we just do that like 5 times. So inhale, pull. Let your heart emerge. Exhale, release. Pull. And if there's an offering you want to make to that idea of obstacles, you can release. If there's something that seems to be getting in the way of things that you'd like, you just pray that those obstacles are removed as you inhale, pull, and exhale, release. I think we've got one more in us, so inhale, pull, let that heart emerge, and exhale, release. Take your arms out to the side, swing them across so the right elbow is up on top of the left. Inhale, lift your elbows. As you exhale, curl. Try to curl your spine and get your elbows to touch your belly button. You might not get there, but you're still trying. One more breath. And then you inhale, you fly those arms up overhead and sweep them around. So Ganesha Mudra, second side. So this time the left hand faces your heart. The right hand faces out. You grab your opposite hand, the fingers, make that little power grab, and then you inhale, pull. Let the heart emerge. Exhale, release. Inhale, pull. And you might just take this time as you inhale and exhale to release, to think of something in your life that feels like an obstacle. And you just make that your offering. Release it out. Two more. Inhale, pull. Heart breathes open. Exhale, release. Last one. Inhale, pull. And exhale, release. Inhale your arms up to the side. Take your left elbow across the top. Double wrap. Inhale, lift elbows. Exhale to belly button. Squeeze and curl and round. See if everything can fold right into the midline. You really get clear there, articulating that mid channel. And then inhale, sweep the arms up overhead and release them out. Beautiful. Find your block. Come onto your back. Slip that block underneath your hips and take your legs up into the air. From here, we're going to take our hands up into the air as well, and we'll just do big circles. So you're just doing ankle and wrist circles, and I really recommend that when you get to places where you can squeeze the toes, squeeze them. When we get to places where you can spread the toes, spread them. Same with the fingers. It's almost like you're scraping out the inner edge of a barrel. And you just sweep that around and then squeeze it. And you want to feel achy when you do this. You want to feel the shins starting to get achy. Keep going. We've got a couple more in us. Sweeping, cleaning out that inner rim. Last one. Beautiful. Shake it out. Good. Just fly your hands out to the side and let your legs rest overhead. And I want you now to let the weight of your legs descend. So feel all the weight of your legs coming down into the hips and getting super heavy there. And you just breathe and notice as the legs get heavier, your breath settles more deeply. So this is a version of legs up the wall pose. Sometimes we can do this at a wall. If you have one now, you're welcome to move over. You could finish up your practice up the wall. Just that often most of us don't have a lot of wall space in our homes, I'm hearing. So this is another alternative for legs up the wall. And as best you can, you imagine that there's a wall there so that you're not holding on to your legs. They're just settling. All the muscles are melting down and settling into the weight of the hips. And the belly is like the belly of a whale. It's kind of deep and endless. And you just let that belly just drape down to earth. Let everything start to settle into gravity. Gravity's such a good friend, and we don't often let ourselves rest in that. So even your shoulders your hands, your head. And you're breathing. Okay, and now just let your feet come together and let your feet start, or your legs start to migrate towards your face. Now you may not get very far, and that's okay. And if you need to, you could even support your legs with your hands and just imagine gravity pulling them down and getting a nice little stretch in the low back. Sometimes it's nice. This is could look like shoulder stand, but I'm wanting it to be upper back stance, so you really feel it on the shoulder blades, so that the floor can kind of just press and massage those forward as the weight of your legs starts to stretch the hamstrings and the low back. A couple more breaths. Big, deep, steady, smooth, rhythmic breathing. You know, inversions are so good for immunity. And it's so nice to feel gravity doing a lot of the effort for us. Beautiful. From here, bend the knees. Take your time until you feel that sacrum back supported again on the block and your feet drop down to the floor. Take a cleansing breath. Another one. And from here, you're going to reach your hands down as if they're going to try to tickle your heels. And if you can, and this can be a little hard around the block, so you might have to kind of scoot that block up towards your shoulders and interlace your fingers. And then try to roll until that block is right between your forearms. Try to roll your shoulders underneath you. And then if you squeeze that block with the forearms, it'll help you open shoulders, and you just breathe here. Feel the breath moving up the spine. There's that little squeezing ball action between the inner thighs. And then gently reach down. You're going to reach underneath you. Pull that block out from underneath you. Let your hips hang. Whew, take a breath. Arms migrate out to T. Feet migrate out to the outer edges of the mat. And then we just drop. Keep the left leg just as it is. And drop the right knee towards the left ankle. So now you just have one thigh that's squeezing towards the midline, so you can isolate it out. So feel how that right thigh could squeeze towards the left thigh. And just breathe here. Make sure there's some belly support of the spine. Last breath, squeeze. Strong inner rotation on that right leg. And then as you exhale, very slowly and gently come back to standing on that right leg and just take a cleansing breath. Now just notice if there's anything you notice that's different from left to right. I always like to feel that. My right side feels really steady and strong and sturdy right now. I think that's a result of that. So keep your right leg just as it is and drop your left knee into an inner rotation. So you're trying to touch left knee to right ankle, and then find those inner thighs and squeeze them, especially the left one. It's a strong squeezing action to that midline. Can you get some juice out of that? One more breath. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And gently release. And just take a moment to feel. Notice how you feel now. I feel like I could take on anything right now because my legs feel like boom, steady and strong. I'm going to press into them and lift my hips up one more time for a little hip stretch. I'm going to take my arms up overhead. I'm going to avoid pressing strongly into those hips or the front of the pelvis. Instead, I'm going to press the feet down and isometrically pull booty to heels. last breath. And then release that out. Let yourself rest all the way down. Take your legs out long. We're going to spend the last 30 seconds of our practice doing lymphatic rocking. So we'll start by taking the legs in and out. And it's fast. It's in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, just like that. It's like a little flopping action. And it should be fairly gentle. Just brings lots of synovial fluid into those hip joints and lymphatic movement. Okay, release that out. Let the wiggling stop and breathe. And then for the last one, we take the legs, and so they're like Tadasana feet. So the second toes are pointed straight up, and it's like pushing on an accelerator, like push, 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 push. And just let the whole body rock with that push. So your head's even saying yes over and over. And when it feels like it's hard, you just go for it a little bit more. Push, push, push. Couple more breaths. You're almost there. And then release. Drop your feet out to the side. Let your arms rest where it's comfortable and feel into your Shavasana. Couple big deep breaths and sighs if you need to. Or ha, whatever feels more natural. Let yourself deeply relax. Let yourself take in all the benefits of your yoga practice. Enjoy the relaxation that comes from moving so many body parts, releasing tension into earth. Imagine you could drip out tension right now. And that would be, the dripping of it would just feed the soil, and you can let go. Enjoy your beautiful Tuesday. Namaste. Stay as long as you'd like. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos. Namaste.